Hey guys, it's not too late to start a subscription to one of our trading card boxes for yourself or that special someone. Swing by HeroHabit.com today, pick your favorite teams, and we'll send you a box of cards every month. We do the searching and sorting for you, and we randomly insert autographs, relics, and short print cards too. We have subscription boxes for baseball, football, and basketball available for $15 a month, and mystery boxes for music, TV, comic book, movie, and WWE, which have a guaranteed hit in every box. Oh, and did I mention shipping is free? Visit HeroHabit.com today and sign up using coupon code PODCASTS to save 15% off your first month. That's HeroHabit.com, coupon code PODCASTS to save 15% on your first month of boxes. Hello, welcome to Kinks and Beats Daily, and happy Thanksgiving to my American listeners. Today, because it is Thanksgiving, we're going to talk about a food-themed song, which I've always enjoyed, but until I did the research for this episode, I never really had that many questions about until now. Before we start, though, I look at the stats every day, and I see people are listening, and I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're enjoying the show. I think you must be if you're still listening. If you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts or iTunes and leaving a rating and a review of this show, even if you don't listen on that platform. If you have an account at Apple, swing by there and leave a rating and a review for the site, or for this podcast, rather. It means a lot to the podcast. It means a lot to me. I know it's a drag, and it's something you're going to have to remember to do and all that kind of stuff, but it would help tremendously to boost the exposure of this podcast to more Kinks and Beatles fans. And then also, give me a call, 925-494-1739. I think I mention that at the end of every podcast, but some of you probably turn it off when I'm done talking about the song. I'm looking to hear about your favorite or least favorite Kinks and Beatles songs. So send me a voicemail with your name, your location, and talk about a song that either you love or you hate, and then talk about why. And if you have a bunch of songs, send me a bunch of voicemails. Just make each song a separate voicemail so I can use it on the podcast, because I want to hear from you guys and make this a more community-driven podcast. So 925-494-1739, that is an American phone number. And yeah, that's all the housekeeping. And then swing by HeroHabit.com for all of your Kinks and Beats stuff. I opened this week. I was at a flea market earlier over the weekend, and I came across some trading cards. And Hero Habit, is focused on trading cards. And I found a set from 1978 dedicated to the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie, which is a horrible movie. The soundtrack did give us, Earth, Wind, and Fire's version of. I'm totally blanking on the song. Got to Get You Into My Life. So there is a positive there. But if you were looking for a trading card set that features Billy Preston and the Bee Gees and George Burns and Steve Martin and Aerosmith, it's available. But I cracked that open. So go to HeroHabit.com for stuff like that. All right, to today's episode. We're talking about a song called Hot Potatoes because many of my American listeners today will be boiling up some potatoes for Thanksgiving. And the song, it was released August 25th, 1972 on the Everybody's in Showbiz album, which we just talked about a song from this album last week, was sitting in my hotel. It's an album I love, particularly the studio half of the album. I think it's one of Ray's best concept albums. It's stacked with great songs. And it was released on November 24th, 1972 as the B-side of Celluloid Heroes, which may be an unpopular podcast when I get around to recording that, but we'll wait for that. All right. So the song opens with Mick Avery playing like a stripper shuffle, and then it goes just straight into a country-inspired mid-tempo shuffle. And it's a hard shuffle. It's like gong, cha, ga, ga, doom, boom. It's a heavy shuffle. And some great guitar playing. If you're listening on headphones, you've got like a slide guitar on the left channel and then a finger picked acoustic on the right channel, and there's like these dueling lead lines. It's the recording of this song is fantastic. The band sounds amazing, and I'm surprised that this era, the Muswell Hillbillies, everybody's in show business era of recordings, wasn't more popular, because it is. If you look at what else was hits at the time, those two albums might be their most commercially appropriate up to that point. Like, it's very in line with things that you'd hear on the radio back then. So the band sounds amazing. One curious thing, Ray and Dave swap lead vocals on this. So a lot of times they're singing in unison. And then sometimes Ray will take the first two lines of a verse and Dave will take the last two lines. And you think, well, maybe, Dave's playing the female character and Ray's playing the male character. But then the next verse, they swap it to where Dave has the first two and Ray has the second two. So I don't know what the reasoning is. There's not a lot written up about this song, which is surprising since it was a B-side of a single. But I don't know what the reasoning was, but it is a cool effect to have that back and forth, and you don't hear that a ton in Kinks stuff. So where are the questions that I'm talking about? Kind of in the lyrics. All right. And it's a simple song. The chord progression is nothing crazy complicated or anything. But it says, my baby woke me up this morning. She said, get down that labor exchange. And if you don't come home with a job, son, you'll get no dinner today. You got to secure me a weekly working wage. You'll get no more fancy cooking. You'll get no more apple pie. You'll just get those plain hot potatoes to satisfy your appetite. Now, that first stanza tells me this is a couple, on the brink of poverty. He's obviously unemployed, which, based on the rest of this album, tells me he's a musician. And they need some money, so he's got to go get a job. Otherwise, the wife isn't going to be cooking him no fancy cooking. Okay, I'm with you so far, Ray. And then we get to the chorus. La, 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 potatoes boiled. This is a good chorus. It's a very catchy chorus. And then the next thing we hear from the man, I said, I don't need your fancy cooking. I like the simple things in life. Just give me those plain hot potatoes and I'll be well satisfied. They'll satisfy my appetite. So now, solidifying my opinion that this guy's probably a musician, he's clearly not going to go get a job. He's saying, you're threatening this fancy food over me. That's not enough, because I'm fine with hot potatoes if it means I don't have to go to the labor exchange and get work. Okay, so he's a drummer. So then we go down. It's another chorus. I want your love in 60 minutes an hour. I want your love in 24 hours a day. I want your love in 7 days a week. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Then we get a bridge, which is only a bridge in that the stanzas change and the groove changes, but it's actually over the same chord progression as the verse, which is cool. It's a total shift. The band is totally different. You get that I want your love, that part of it. It's a very cool bridge, even though it's just another verse. I want your love, I need your love, but all I get is hot potatoes when I come home late at night to satisfy my appetite. Okay, so now he doesn't want the hot potatoes. Now it's not. So obviously, this is a relationship where there's not a lot of love going on back and forth. And he's pleading with her. But now he's also saying, and enough with the potatoes. So he's grown tired of it. So his opening statement, where I'm fine, I don't need the fancy things in life, doesn't hold much water later on in the song. And then he keeps going. Don't give me no more potatoes. I want your loving every single day. I want your loving. So we've gone from go out and get a job where all you're getting is potatoes to all I need are potatoes and your love to little heavy on the potatoes, little light on the love to if you give me one more potato. It's a real there's a real story here that is kind of buried in the subtext, because if you're just listening to the lyrics and just kind of wrapped up in the groove of the song, it's kind of easy to miss this evolution of attitude that the I don't know if you want to call him the protagonist or the antagonist, but the subject of the song is expressing. It starts as kind of a romantic, you're all I need, and then it becomes like, well, if I'm not going to have you, then maybe you do need the fancy cooking. Still no mention of him getting a job, though. It's a cool song. It's not my favorite song on the album. Obviously, because I just said last week "Sitting in My Hotel" was one of my favorite songs of all time, and that's on this album. But it works on this album, and it's conceptually, I like these kinds of albums more than Ray's fully fleshed out soap opera types. So you had Lola, which was kind of a concept album on the music industry. And then you have Everybody's in Showbiz, which is a concept album about life on the road and touring and all that kind of stuff. So there's songs about being on a tour bus. There's songs about the food when you're on tour. There's songs about being trapped in your hotel room. And those are the concept albums I like more. I'm not a big fan of, in general, this is not speaking of Ray specifically, I'm not a big fan of albums that are trying to tell a narrative, because a lot of times the songs suffer to accommodate that narrative. But this album is perfect because it's a theme, right? So every song stands on its own. This song stands on its own, but it also complements the theme of this album of life on the road and the struggle of being an up and coming musician, or whatever form of show business you want to interpret this as. So it's a cool piece. Like I said, the band sounds amazing on it. It's a good one to blast on the stereo. So hot potatoes. Enjoy your hot potatoes today. I hope some of you listened to this while you were cooking, and that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And tomorrow we will be talking about a new Paul McCartney song that just came out this week. So it's the first new song to be released since we started this podcast. And hopefully the next new release will be a Kinks song. But, I've stopped holding my breath for that, but I really want it. All right. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great holiday for my American listeners. Have a great Thursday for everybody else. And thanks for listening. This podcast is presented by the Hero Habit Podcast Network. Swing by HeroHabit.com today to comment on this episode and poke around our growing database of sports and pop culture news, reviews, and collectibles. HeroHabit.com. Collect your heroes.